All right. Well, uh, what's going on, folks? It's You're in the Garage. I got Walt Campos and Thaddeus Smith with me tonight.
Do you?
It is April 17th, 2019. And I wanted to start this with a question. And I think this is kind of surprising. Who is, and I have a definitive answer for this, who is the most influential the most influential person over both of your lives, right? Not only both of your lives, but over our entire generation. You think Generation X, right? What the fuck we are, right? Right? We're Generation X, right?
Yeah, I think we're
towards they want to claim you.
We're right at the end, right?
We're right at the end of Generation X.
Right.
Born like 2 years later, we'd be a millennial, actually.
But we're not. So we get in. We make the cut. You know.
If you heard the fucking AOL dial-up, you're not a millennial.
All right. So
good one.
Who is the most influential person in all of our lives that you never realized? You would never even think it was them.
So not in our personal lives, but overall?
Right. No, like in society overall, the person who's been most influential in your life and you didn't even know it.
It can only be one?
It's a specific person. And when I tell you why, you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Michael
Jordan. Nope. You want to take a shot?
Fuck. Let's see. There's so many ways we could go with this. It's like
George Steinbrenner.
Right. And that's the thing, though. But of the needle in the haystack that is everyone, it's kind of shocking and but you'll see what I'm getting at, though.
Right.
John Hughes.
Oh, okay. John Hughes.
From 1983 to 1992, so 10 years, he wrote 15 movies, right? National Lampoon's Vacation, 16 Candles, The Breakfast Club, European Vacation, Weird Science, Pretty in Pink, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Some Kind of Wonderful, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, The Great Outdoors, Uncle Buck, Christmas Vacation, Home Alone, Career Opportunities, and Dutch.
Yeah,
I saw most of those. Yeah.
I mean, these are movies that literally shaped the generation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm sure each person has their own influential movie for themselves that may have directionalized their life particularly. But yeah, I mean, think about some of like the most quotable things from like the 80s, 90s ish kind of stuff, right? I mean, Home Alone is iconic in its own right.
Right.
And then all the references that came out of it, like the like the Pretty in Pink and Breakfast Club, genre of movies,
Well, like those movies, right? If you think about what the 80s movies were, the ideal, the 80s movies, if you think about them, right? Other than maybe St. Elmo's Fire, all of them are his. Every single one of the big 80s movies, he wrote. Every single one of them. The only other thing, what else could you bring in there? The John Cusack movies? That's the only other thing that he's missing. And he basically wrote them all. It's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. Yeah.
The other day, I had to go. Because I had to write a paper for this class I'm taking. So I had to use a movie to show how systems work. So like the way that right here, our show is a system. It's like a machine. So if you think of like any relationship you have is a machine, and you are each a part of that machine, right? So your family is a machine, your job, your work environment is a machine, all that shit, right? One part of the machine doesn't work, it throws the whole machine out of whack, right? So I had to use a movie to break down things and show that, right, and analyze characters in the movie and show why what their motivations are and what they're doing, right? So I use 16 Candles. And the thing that's nuts is like I probably should have known that. I definitely should have known that all this stuff was him, right? But you don't really think about it. And I couldn't decide between 16 Candles and The Breakfast Club because there were certain things that I absolutely could easily use in a character evaluation when you show what their deal is, what motivates them, why they're doing the things that they do, because everybody, even the wackiest person you ever met, makes sense if you understand how their machine works.
Mm-hmm.
You know why they do the things they do, because it fits in the overall scheme of how their entire life works.
Sure.
Right.
It's like a mechanic looking at an engine.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's literally the same thing. I mean, it's literally the same.
Yeah.
His movies, like all of them, they hit specific like patterns of being that all of us see every day in our lives, or experience or live every day in our lives. Like, I mean, he hits them perfectly. It's like when Peterson talks about the archetypes of the different archetypes that resonate with us. So certain stories resonate with us more because it's like the hero that we relate with, even though the hero's journey that we relate with, even though we don't realize that that's what's going on. It's the same.
Right.
It's pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the reasons why certain people like certain superheroes, right?
Yeah,
Like and why, like the Batman, right? Batman and Superman are, haha, like night and day, right? Kind of the yin and yang kind of thing. Here's this dude, Superman has all the powers in the world, and what's to stop him from doing this, or but he chooses to, truth, justice, and the American way, the good, goody two shoes hero, right? And then you got Batman. He's dark, he's gritty, he's only doing this, at the time for basically revenge, right? And but he has all this money and he could fucking just build shit and kill people because he's fucking angry. No, but he stops violence. He stops what killed his parents and all that kind of stuff.
Right,
and it's two completely different ways to get to the same thing. But and I think too, like the Batman thing, he's a more relatable superhero, so to speak, than Superman is. Right? Superman's the billionaire. Superman is the elite. We can't beat.
It's true. It's true. You don't
fucking beat Batman.
It's a good
really
point.
Tried and trained and all that shit.
None of us, people don't relate to Superman. You can't relate to Superman. That's why so many people like Batman more, because you could relate to a real guy dressing up and doing this kind of shit. Like, and Superman, one of the problems they had.
Batman, you can get out there and be Batman.
That's exactly right. If all you had to do was be rich and be able to pay for the toys, and whereas Superman, no one could ever be that. And they actually had a problem with him writing him. Because they didn't have enough weaknesses. They had to come up with things that you could hurt him. Otherwise, who gives a shit?
Yeah, because it's not like fucking kryptonite grows on trees.
They had one issue where he, I think it was like in the 50s or something, where he blew out a star with his breath. And then that's when they realized, like, all right, this shit is insane. We gotta like.
Yeah, well, because how do you follow that up?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's funny because then you go into another world that I love, that you guys aren't as into anymore, right? But wrestling, but it's the same issue, right? The booking of the heel or the booking of the face, right? Back in the day, it was Hogan. More recently, it's been like John Cena. But it's like when you have these guys and they become so dominant and they speak, this momentum rolls so far and so on, and they just win and they win and they win, and they're always the good guy and they always do the right thing and eat eat your vitamins and say your prayers, brother.
Yeah, you got to write his demise.
Yeah, eventually that guy needs to topple, but it's like, oh, we got to keep him on top because the kids love him. But there's always going to be kids.
Yeah.
So it's, you got to characters have to have depth and stuff like that.
It's like Peterson says, though, even the small mouse has to win at least 30% of the time or he's going to stop playing.
Yeah, sure. But then also, too, take it on the opposite end of the field, right? Now you got the heel, right? The bad guy. Like you guys, I'm sure maybe the Big Show. You guys know him, right? He's the almost Andre the Giant type, but he's modern time or whatever. And he's in like television shows. He does a lot of those USA shows and shit like that. Anyway, when
I saw the match, the Battle Royale, where he changed shirts and he became the heel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I saw that. That was epic.
Yeah. So like
20 years ago.
Yeah, sometimes he'll come back from an injury or come back from just whatever time off or something, and they bring him back as like this angry dominant heel, and the same thing goes for like other big guys or nasty guys or whatever. It's like when like they had this other guy Braun Strowman. They're trying to make him the next giant, right? And they have him like flipping cars and pulling down fucking sets and like they had one where he flipped a fucking ambulance. All right, so here's this strongman dude turned wrestler, and he can flip an ambulance. Okay, now what?
Right.
Like you keep having to fucking top it,
Right. Exactly.
And at some point in time, that big, strong, dominant heel that's like beating up everybody, the hero needs to come and save the day eventually.
Yeah.
But how do you make it real? In the context of keeping yes, we all understand that wrestling's scripted, right? Because let's not use the fake word. But and it's all predetermined and it's all that kind of stuff. But it's about the show. It's about the suspense of disbelief sometimes, and But when you have the Big Show, who's like 7 foot whatever and huge, and then you have like Rey Mysterio, who's a fantastic wrestler in his own right.
Yeah, but there's no fucking way that Rey Mysterio is beating that dude.
Yeah, but somehow you have to make it work in wrestling, and it's so much harder when you have this big, angry, dominant heel that's like choking out like guys that are, 10 times Rey's size, But you have
it's weird.
Tell the David and Goliath story, right?
You know what's weird? What I'm thinking about. That made me think about it, and I listen to Joe Rogan a lot, right? But I don't often listen to his when he's talking to MMA guys.
Okay.
But the other day I was listening to one where he was. I forget the guy's name. Interesting dude. They're talking about these guys that they knew that they trained with that are just monsters. That guys that are professionals that are great fighters have no business being in the ring with these guys because they're just like destroy you, like in a real fight, right? And dudes, we all like to think that we're tough. I trained martial arts for a long time. I was okay. I could defend myself, but not on the level like these guys. Like, there are dudes out there that no matter how good you think you are, will destroy you. Because they're just freaks, because they're just big, because they'll just destroy you.
They're just genetically fucking superior.
Right. Rey Mysterio is not beating the Big Show. I don't give a fuck what you do.
Yeah.
That guy's he just has to fucking get him and hold him down, and it's over.
Yeah.
Unless he's got a gun, then
well, I mean, yeah.
No, that's not allowed. It's a foreign object. He'll be disqualified if he uses the
Give
gun.
Macho Man the bell.
Oh yeah, rung his bell.
Crush his larynx.
Did you see? Did you see? This is actually a good lead-in from this. Did you see at the University of Australia? They did a study, and they've now proven that primates with small cocks have to either use violence to intimidate other males away from the women they want, or they have to use status symbols to entice the ladies.
Sure.
Of course.
Yep.
You gotta come up with something.
So if you're aggressive towards other dudes, or you have to show off all your bullshit, you probably got a little dick. It's a known fact. It's proven now.
That'd just get real good eating pussy.
Well, it depends. They don't all like it.
Yeah, but you got to get in there in the first place.
True.
And that's the thing. You do.
You got to eat that pussy before they take down your pants.
But that's why sluts help the world go round.
Sure.
Oh wait, I don't think I'm supposed to say that though. That's probably fucking bad. I probably already just got us banned.
That's it. It's over.
Yeah, we're gonna get
hashtag us too.
Yeah, we're gonna get banned from Facebook. Fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's say that the ladies with the more morally casual attitudes.
They're not hookers. They're ladies of the evening.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like I'm not a trash man. I'm a fucking what is it? Waste management specialist.
It's all about perspective, man. It's all how you present it. That's all it is.
Yeah.
There's a guy in Oregon that was sentenced to 60 days in jail. You only get 60 days. Yo, he fucked the Lhasa Apso to death.
Oh, what?
Yeah. This dude in Oregon, he got a Lhasa Apso, which really kind of pissed me off because I had a Lhasa Apso. They're great dogs, real calm. They don't, calm, good dogs. I think it's a national. The Lhasa Apso is the national dog of Tibet. The Dalai Lama has.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So this dude in Oregon
fucking those.
Yeah, he fucked it. He fucked it so good that it died. They had to put it down for all the injuries.
Fuck it.
Like, what the fuck?
Not only are you fucking sick and you fucked your dog. Okay?
Well, I don't know if it was his dog though. I think it was the neighbor's
dog.
You wouldn't fuck your own dog. Why would you fuck your own dog with the neighbor's dog's right there?
I mean, the neighbor's dog available every night. I mean, right? But you fuck this poor animal hard, and you fucking basically killed it.
You killed it with your cock. You fucked it to death. Death by bunga bunga.
To death.
I love the
What's
rationale.
wrong with you?
I love the rationale.
Yes.
The neighbor's dog's right there. The neighbor's dog's gotta go.
Well, I mean, you're not gonna. You want your own dog.
Oh, because then you have the like when you fill the water bowl in the morning, you have that awkward eye contact. Like,
Oh yeah, I fucked you kind of hard last night, huh, buddy?
You looking all right? You need me to take you to the vet? I really put it on you last night.
Well, so I don't know what do you think is worse? Do you think?
I mean, if you're fucking dogs to death, then you don't want to do it to your own.
Right. I mean, of course not. Right. Although, you have to wonder. Like in Scotland, where these dogs throw themselves off the bridge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it because it happens so often they feel ashamed? Like the dog can't wipe the shame off of herself for getting pounded by this sick fuck.
Wow, there's no Twitter for dogs, so how else do they have? Then no outlet.
Sure, who did he tell?
Hmm.
How did they tell you? How do you speak out against it? Horrible. You know what the problem was? They didn't have a sperm extractor.
This is
If they had a sperm extractor, he wouldn't have had to do that.
Yeah. Imagine like a little dog-sized sperm extractor. Talk just fucking.
This may be the strongest intro to our show ever.
Mm.
I'm convinced.
Well, so you saw that, though, right? Well, in China, they have automatic sperm extractors. Like, I would not use this thing. It's kind of like, did you see the video? The sperm extractor?
No, I will not see the video.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic. You have to see this. Fuck you, John. I love this. Again, I don't know if I would use it either. I would. You know what? I feel like I'd have to use it at least once because I'd have to try, right?
You know how I feel? I feel that the one time you tried, right? The one time you tried is when the machine went wrong and fucking sucked somebody's dick off.
Oh my god.
Not only did you suck his dick off, you literally sucked his dick off.
That is, you have to make sure you've got your clipboard with you when it happens because you have to, you have to take down all that information. You have to make sure that, you have a hypothesis and that you're,
I'm telling you, dude.
A lab coat and
you have a lab coat with you.
Nothing else.
Yes. Yeah, you don't want any obstruction,
Well, you gotta see this fucking thing. You gotta see this thing going though. It's got this fucking
yeah, man. No,
that comes in and out. This is what's going to get us banned from Facebook. So it's this tube that goes in and out.
Yeah.
Right? But it also goes up and down, so it's like adjusts its height and all this shit. Oh,
see, to me, I don't care. I don't care how intrigued you might be about this thing.
Mm.
When you see it, right? All I think about is how horribly it could go wrong.
Yes. No, Skynet could actually eat your cock. That's true.
Yeah. I mean, it could rip your shit right off. If it malfunctioned, you're fucked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course.
I'd like to think there's some safety measures against that, but you never know.
I mean, I'm sure they'll get better at it. Pretty soon they'll have it. They'll have the machine where it's a woman, and you won't have to.
Well, they have the doll, and now they have
or a dude if that's what you're into.
all
I'd
they
love
need
to
to
see
do is
what the
figure out how to get that big ass machine into that fucking doll, and it's over.
I'd love
Yeah,
to see
yeah,
what
yeah.
like, an actuarial science guy would say about it. You know, like because he has to like, you know, figure out
Sure,
all the
He has
risks.
to figure out, the insurance on that thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, how do you figure that shit? What's the equation?
What do you suppose sperm extractor insurance costs?
Well, you started John Wayne Bobbitt. You started John Wayne Bobbitt, and then you work your way back from there, right?
Do you get a discount if you have multiple machines? You know, like you get a
One at home and one at the
PPO.
You get the bundle. You get the bundle home and
Right.
office. Home and office fucking offers.
Oh God.
Yeah, and they said that what was it? The reason that they fucking this is the beauty of fucking science, right? Right, because not everybody can cure cancer, right? There's some scientists that just they can't do that, so they make fucking robotic dick sucking things. Everybody's got a place in this world. It's beautiful.
Well, I mean, someone had a dream and they went for it.
Mm.
They made it happen.
Like right, like who's
Somebody
the
had a
guy?
white shirt they went for it.
Go ahead, sorry.
Look at Thaddeus.
Who's the guy that was laying in bed, right? Just thinking, mulling this over, like, oh man, we got to come up with it, and then just, I got it, and that fucking design is what they came up with.
But you know, the thing is, yeah, well,
No, I was just gonna say, for all we know, it could have been like as far back as Leonardo da Vinci, because that guy came up with every fucking thing. I wouldn't be
for
surprised.
all we know,
Oh, imagine they found Da Vinci's notes.
There's probably a sketch where he fucking sketched out all the mechanisms and everything, and we're just fucking catching up now.
yep.
Right? What's the thing with the arms? Like that thing, but of the dick suckers.
I've been rereading if you see this book here, I've been rereading this book. It's called How to Think Like Da Vinci. It's by Michael.
I have that.
You have that?
I have that somewhere.
Yeah, I've been rereading this. It's amazing, and he's basically.
Oh, you know what? I don't have it anymore. I had it on audiobook. I don't have it anymore, but I did have it on audiobook.
It's great. It basically lays out exactly his thought process and the kind of questions he would ask himself, and automatic writing and all this stuff that he did to come up with his amazing inventions and whatnot. And I wouldn't doubt it if he came up with this shit all those years ago, and just we're just catching up now in the 21st century.
We joke, but for all we know, the inventor of the sperminator, the inventor of the sperm sucker there, may have saved the world. He may be the savior of the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
You think about it. If everybody had an automatic sperm sucker, fucking, there'd be a lot less anger.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't have violent crimes against the ladies.
Domestic violence.
Yeah, less
sure
rape.
would
You'd have a lot less breeding by the more unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
That movie.
The more unfortunate probably aren't coming up with a couple 100,000 for this fucking thing.
All right, I guess, but there's going to be people. There's going to be a level in the middle. Besides, everything gets cheaper. I mean, people on
everybody gets a knockoff, and
people on welfare have fucking iPhones now. So there's definitely going to be the Chinese version that you can order. I mean, they're all Chinese versions. That's where it's coming from.
Yeah, exactly.
Next, I could probably get one on Wish next week for I could probably get one for next week for $12.95. All I got to pay is the shipping.
So what you're basically saying is you're going to get the made in China version of the thing that's actually made in China.
Right, exactly. There's the two different versions. They come from the same factory, one that breaks and one that doesn't.
See, now that's the one I'm not sticking my dick in.
And over there, they call it the American version, by the way.
Yeah, right.
Save money. They're not using like silicone nodes. It's like nuts and bolts, just with like fucking shit sprayed on them.
I would have to think though, if insurance would probably be cheaper for that than other things. You know why? Because like if you got your thumb chopped off, you're gonna get like $6,000, right? A thumb's worth like $6,000, something like that.
Okay.
But if you chopped your penis off, right? If somebody ripped your penis off, I don't know. That would probably cost a lot more than $6,000. But how much really, right? But the thing is, they would know exactly where it is. They might be able to get that out intact and reattach it, like John Wayne Bond.
Yeah.
You know, so like you probably can't get as much if they can reattach it. You know, you probably they'll pay for the surgery and maybe a little bit to deal with the pain.
There's all the trauma that goes with it. And...
Well, they're going to get around that. They're going to have a disclaimer to get around that. Yeah. All you have to do is say,
dick.
Caution, may rip your dick off.
Yeah. Caution, contents may be hot and or rip off dicks. Insert at own risk. Oh, shit.
Yeah, well, you know.
That's there's a full disclaimer that you have to fucking sign in triplicate and get it notarized.
This is interesting. And maybe it goes more to the point with some of this stuff. Fake it till you make it.
Mm-hmm.
Fake it till you make it is bad for your health. Yeah, people who have to force smiles, they end up drinking more heavily than people who don't force smiles. So if you're like, and I know this is true because I used to know a bunch of models and they would be like that where they would do it all day and they were fucking miserable people in real life. Degenerates going out and doing all kinds of crazy shit.
Huh.
Yeah, they did a Penn State did a psych study that they found that at least heavy drinking, but it has to do with the connection between suppressing your emotions and anxiety. And this is something I know about too. Like I think for myself, because I have anxiety, and I think the reason why I have it is because like I'm an asshole, and I never know when I'm going to fucking offend somebody. Just being myself, You know what I mean? So, and I'm consciously aware of it. Like me being me would be kind of fucking nuts all the time. So I have to rein it in so I can fit into society. Like for me to go to work, I can't do the things I would normally do. I mean, I can't do it around my own house because my own family wouldn't like me very much. So
you wouldn't have a family,
right? So like, I feel like I'm constantly like caged in because I have to like hold myself back. Otherwise, I don't know what's going to happen, and it makes me kind of twitch. So I really believe that. Like, if you have to spend all day being full of shit, you know, you're not releasing that. You're holding it all in, and it just fucking either you snap or you fucking get drunk.
Unless the solution might
dick sucking machine.
The solution might be being rewarded for being full of shit. You see? Because what if you were rewarded for being full of shit? Right?
Well, I think, but
let's say you're paid, for being a politician or something, and it's like, oh yeah, man, you were great today.
Yes and no, though. Yes and no, because you get the reward, so that's what gets you the hook. That's what gets the dopamine release. So you keep doing it, right?
Right.
But you know that you're full of shit. You know that everything is built on the house of cards.
Right.
You
so
know,
ultimately.
Right. You know that it's all going to fall apart at some point. So you're just terrified for the other shoe to drop. It's like Al Bundy waiting. Oh God, I can't wake up. He's like Al Bundy with a bunker around him because everything's going too well.
Right. Sooner or later, that cloud's coming. Right. That cloud.
Exactly. So you're in trouble then, man. Yeah. So that I definitely think that that's true. But the problem is also that I also think that most people out there are. I mean, maybe I'm a little stronger than others, but I do think that most people out there, if they were really just themselves, most people would be annoyed by them.
Could be.
Maybe it's just me.
It's funny because right, and it's funny because that's an emotional thing. But just the thing that fucking popped into my mind right now is like, look at I don't know how it is out there in Florida or whatever, John, but. People driving around here and like the way they treat like four-way stops, like fucking flashing yellows and like drivers, people driving, courtesy, all that kind of shit. It's fucking downward trending, right?
Oh yeah. That's
the expectation of fucking keeping your shit together because that's how fucking society works, asshole, is fucking falling away, man.
Yeah, it's a weird weird turn. But yeah, that's a good conversation, even though it's a weird place for us to go.
Yeah, I don't know why I somehow equated it to driving, but
it's true though, because it's like, again, they have the broken windows policing policy that believes that if you and it works, if you enforce the small laws, the big ones aren't there as much because you're getting the people off the street before they actually commit the crime. And people realize that you're looking. But it's the breakdown of the small things in society is one. It's apparent, like, people don't know shit anymore. They don't know anything, and the basic agreements, the basic things, like, come on, be honest, tell the truth. Like the reporters being honest about stuff. Not taking that stop sign and driving the right way, because that's what holds everything together. If we just do those simple little things the right way, you can do whatever the fucking degenerate thing you want. But when we're out in the public space, like, let's keep it together, folks.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, in this country, it's heavily enforced. And that's why, society is the way it is. Fucking third world countries, okay? You try that in Argentina, you're putting a stop sign in the middle of a main street or whatever. Over there, it just means slow down. Okay?
Yeah.
I've been there recently. I was there twice last year, and nobody follows those fucking signs. It's crazy.
Well, at the end of the day,
Good.
that was weird. I didn't even hear your mic there. At the end of the day, it always still comes down to this: that one thing that every single place on the planet has in common, right, is that wherever you are, that place is the way that it is because of the people that live there.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
So I mean, there's no getting around that.
Yeah. And that's not even necessarily a negative thing, right? Just as a statement as it is, right?
For good or bad, for whatever it is.
Everybody that wants to think that you're going to say that for a particular reason is going to jump to their own conclusion. But look at, right? That doesn't necessarily just equate to, oh, look, because in bad places, bad people create bad situations. No, look at the opposite end of the spectrum. Look at these places that gun violence isn't an issue, or fucking traffic. Like you can't even fucking like step off the curb without getting a fucking ticket or something. And fucking everything runs smooth, man.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily want to live in that world either, though. Where they regulate everything so you can't fucking breathe.
No, I agree, but it's that statement that you made in and of itself has no negative or positive connotation.
Right. Well,
it's just
like
a truthful statement.
Like what you said about people will take it one way or another depending on what they're looking for. That's exactly right. Like, we literally can't see something unless we're looking for it. But if we're looking for it, we will see it everywhere. So it's an amazing thing that works out like that way. And that's the multiple perspectives theory from what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. That we all see shit differently, and what we're looking for is what we find. Right. So we construct the world that we live in based on what we're looking for. Yeah. So it's and that's why you can't have. There's just some people that fucking can't agree, because like no matter what, they're only going to find what they want to see, and what they don't want to see, they just can't see. They don't even have the ability to do it. It's crazy. It's a crazy thing.
Yeah.
Or even to make the correlation, right? To make the connection that one gets the other.
Yeah, because and it's not something that they're doing wrong. That's how it is. That's how your brain works. You can't.
Yeah, let's say no gun violence, but people are getting stabbed to death, or getting thrown out windows and stuff like that. And you might not see the connection, but maybe there's a connection. That's just one example, but there might be, everything has some sort of connection and mathematical correlation to something else.
Well, everything does, but you don't see it all. You only see the part that you're looking for.
Right. Exactly. You only see in front of you.
That's a weird thing.
Yeah.
I had something else in there where I wanted to go with that. But not it. No, that's not you. It was me, because I had that, and then it's an interesting thing. But I just forgot where I went, not even like where I normally do, where I'm talking about something and I forget what my point was halfway through and I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Not like that. It was just an aside to that and I just forgot what it was.
Yeah.
Anyway, so a guy in Ohio. Do you see this guy in Ohio? He walked into a fucking Perkins with an iguana in his pants. And he takes the fucking thing out and he starts swinging the iguana around the restaurant and he fucking hurled it at somebody. They arrested him for animal cruelty.
I'm surprised that thing's tail didn't come off.
That's what surprises me because they will rip off. So I don't know what was going on, but we know how to picture it. You know those things. It's like the bola they call it. I think where it's like two balls at the end of a rope and they swing it around. They throw it. It goes around the guy's neck. You know, or they get you around the ankles and you fall down. You know, that's what I picture that guy doing with an iguana. Wrapping around dude's neck.
So guy's trying to run out of the restaurant. Oh my god, he's got an iguana! Throws at his ankles, he trips and falls.
People are sick, man. People are sick. People do fucked up things to animals.
Yeah, like
you could have just stopped it. People do fucked up things.
Well, I mean, people do fucked up things. Yeah, but what was the one we what the fuck? Sherbet lettuce. I think we did it on the sherbet lettuce episode, which nobody watches, which was just a shame because that's one of the funniest episodes we had, but nobody watches it. I'm pretty sure that's one where the guy fucked the beaver. Remember the beaver got hit by a truck or something like that, and he fucked it. and
he took it to like a place, and he was fucking it outside when the woman opened the door or some shit like that, right?
Yeah, a woman caught him raping the roadkill beaver.
Oh,
and what'd she say? She said, "Damn."
Horrible. Okay.
Dude, fuck that shit. Oh man. Yeah, it's funny too. Like when you bring up some of these sometimes, and they get like just remembering that fucking like I couldn't like if someone said, "Hey, you ever hear of a fucking story of a beaver getting raped after getting hit by a car?" Well, funny enough, you asked that. Like when is that? Like casual conversation or whatever, you know?
Well, the fact that we could do these stories, right, and then it reminds you of something that we did, a year ago now or whatever it was, but it reminds you of something you did a while ago, and you're like, yeah, remember we did this story? Like the fact that there are so many of these things that they can connect you to something else that you were talking about out of the blue.
Yeah, and
one
of my favorite things, like when we were doing TMC the show, right? When you find like these crazy weird obscure or whatever stories, right? Like some of the stuff that we found especially early on in the show, kind of like to show like the over the top, shit that actually goes on out there or whatever. But when you find one of those stories that's either connected to like different but connected to, or like an update to the, hey, remember when you had that story about the woman that walked outside and this dude was raping a roadkill beaver on her fucking garbage can? That bitch went out and she did something, and it's like, and it's a whole nother story about her or something. There's something, I don't know, it's weird, but there's something beautiful about that to me.
It is. It's like it's cosmic. Like you get closure.
Yes. Oh God, the follow-up stories or something is totally weird. Like, I don't know. You guys remember I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for it. Sweet Brown. That woman. I walked outside to have some cold pop, and I thought someone was barbecuing. And I said, Lord Jesus, it's a fire. That woman.
I think I remember that.
So it was a crazy like viral video. There's
I remember that.
Kind of like the what was it? The Antoine something guy is like, they out here raping everybody. These fucking iconic like viral video kind of things. So this woman, she's got this whole thing. She's like, I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that. It's like it blows up, right? It's this whole thing. We find. After doing the story, a couple, I don't know, months or something later, somehow in one of my fucking rabbit holes of fucking YouTube or whatever it is that I do, like, especially because I would look at these like obscure, weird fucking stories, and one would lead to another, and all this kind of stupid shit, right? Found out that that viral video got her so quote unquote famous that a local dentist got her to do a commercial for them, and the whole thing from that thing is just like, I got bronchitis, ain't nobody got time for that, right? So this dentist office gets her to do a commercial. It's like, this place is so great, they fixed my teeth. Now I got time for that, It's like, and so it's this tie-in thing. And here's this woman that she's famous because of the way she answered like an interview, right? Mm-hmm. It goes viral, and now she makes a commercial for this dentist place, local place, and it's like, awesome. There's something beautiful about that to me.
That is awesome. You know that reminds me of about a year ago. You know these people on YouTube, they do these vlogs where like they'll travel from place to place and they'll talk about where they're at and the places they saw and the whole thing and what you could do for like less than $10 at such and such a place or whatever.
Okay, yeah, like travel to here on less than whatever budget or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So there's all sorts of these YouTubers that do that. They travel all over the world and they do that. There's this one girl who I saw this about a year ago, where she traveled to South America, and I think it was like Peru or something, and she went there, and one of her vlogs was how she got robbed. So the title of that particular vlog was "I Got Robbed Peru," right? So she talks about that, and there's people commenting like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry that you got robbed, this and that. Peru's a nice place, this and that." So then, she kept traveling. She kept, traveling all over South America. Then one day, she gets robbed in like Venezuela. So the next one was, "I got robbed Venezuela." So after that, like people started commenting. Like it was just like this big joke, like, okay, now do Chile, okay, now do Argentina, now do Brazil, it just got so crazy where like everybody was just making fun of her because she kept getting robbed everywhere she fucking went.
Yeah,
it was just so, oh man, I felt so bad for her, but it's like that kind of thing. I wish somebody would have been smart enough to say, let's give her a job like this other girl, and just have her like, talk about, hey, maybe like, lawyer, like a lawyer firm or something.
Like a PSA for the cops or something.
I got robbed, like, oh man, that just would have been epic.
Oh jeez.
There are some things you don't need to be famous for.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to be the guy who's famous for shitting himself. Oh, yeah, you remember him? That's that guy who shit himself. You don't want to be that guy.
And that's why I wear Depends, so I don't shit myself no more.
I mean, you better get a lot of money for that commercial because you ain't ever doing anything again.
Oh, if he's wearing Depends, right?
What about Rafael Palmeiro with his fucking Viagra commercial that he had like years ago, like 15 years ago at this point?
Frank Thomas is doing one now. It's like it's not Viagra, but it's like one of those like male testosterone low. Take this and you'll be a tiger in the bed, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, he's
as if he needed the
Yeah.
money.
Well, if I take this, I can look like Frank Thomas. Dude still looks like he could bat fucking 320. Still.
Yeah, I know. Right? Yeah, he looks
funky,
good.
But he looks like he's just a professional hitter, that guy.
He had that great right field swing, that's what kept his average up, that he could take the ball the other way.
Yeah. It's funny. It's we're such a society that's like in the now, especially these days. But legitimately, Frank Thomas, when he was in his heyday, when he was in his prime, he was talked about as one of the best right-hitting hitters of all time.
Yeah. I mean, Hall of Famer, right?
Sure.
And he was. He was a tough out.
It's one thing to be like a Hall of Famer, that how many thousands of people, but like to be talked about, Yeah, to be talked about as one of the best of your generation is one thing, and then it gets bigger when you get started compared to like generationally great, you know, like like when they put up a stat like, oh, he's, like especially in basketball, it's happened a lot recently, like, oh, first time this person's done it since Wilt Chamberlain, you know, only the third to do it behind Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, like when you get thrown into the mix with like the names of the eons, that's something,
that's crazy shit right there.
Well, it also depends on how you're getting thrown in and for what reasons, because not all stats translate. What's that? Not all stats translate though. So depending on and like basketball, for instance. Okay, Wilt Chamberlain, who was he playing against?
Yeah. There's always a contextual thing that has to be taken into account, especially when you're having these like the argument to end all argument discussions.
Right.
You need to dig deeper.
Like basketball is a bad sport. You can't compare because besides the game has changed so much in so many ways in so many different times between rules changes and just like how they operate things. Like the reason why the games played the way it was in the 90s with Michael Jordan is because because of Michael Jordan. They changed the rules for Michael Jordan.
They had
the carry rules, stuff like that. But still, at that time, you could you charge a lane, someone's gonna knock you around your ass. It's not even gonna be a foul. Yeah. Now a guy jumps into the defender, and it's a foul on the defender.
Yeah.
There
was an evolution, right? So in the 80s, it was let's say even into like the mid 90s, even right. It was you could knock down a dude coming into the lane as long as you were going for the ball, and there was no foul. Then you fast forward into the 90s and then maybe into the early 2000s or whatever. It's like, all right, you can knock a dude down, but you're going to get called for a foul. Like, it's a foul, dude. Now, like you said, now the offensive player can do a pump fake and then flail into this awkward position that no one shoots from to draw a foul, and somehow that guy's at fault.
Right. So it's the that's why you can't really compare them, because you can't compare Michael Jordan and LeBron James, because whose rules are you using? Who's in the league what's going on? Because LeBron, with his game, the way his game is right now, if he was playing in the 90s, in the early 90s, I don't, he would still be great, but he wouldn't be what we think of him now, because
correct.
His game, there'd be a lot of guys that play that game. There would be a lot of guys that would outmuscle him and knock him on his ass.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of that.
And part of the greatness of LeBron in this era is and he is great, and he should be in the conversation of greatest of all time. Also,
definitely greatest of his era.
Definitely the great, but even all time, he deserves to be. I'm not saying he is, but
so if you had a Mount Rushmore or a basketball, he'd be on it.
He's at least in the conversation.
Right. Okay.
I don't know necessarily whether he makes the top four. Probably at this point, depending, I guess, on how these last few years go. Does he win another couple championships and really seal that legacy?
But even that,
fade off and it's nothing,
But even that, though, Jordan was 6-0 in the finals. You know what I mean? So
and that's where people are oh, championships shouldn't matter. But here's the thing: it's when you're having these conversations that are the best of the best of the best. Now you do have to get into the nitty gritty, and you need to know all these other things,
right? Because it's like Peterson says, doing multivariate analysis.
Yeah.
If you can't go the only one football, you can't use different eras, because the 80s and the 90s compared to today, same deal.
Yeah.
They were there was no salary cap. You could just buy all the best players. Richard Dent was a third string fucking defensive end on the 95 49ers, but they would manhandle you. You can't manhandle people the way they do now. But then you look in the 80s, where guys would clothesline dudes. You'd be running around and a defensive back would fucking clothesline you, and it wasn't a penalty.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no wonder why all these guys have their brains are all fucking scrambled.
Oh, sure.
Because they would get fucking killed.
Yeah.
Besides that, they were taking the worst kind of steroids they had back then. They always called it the brain cancer. So between the steroids that they were taking that gave you brain cancer and getting clotheslined by dudes out in the field, you're right. Imagine you're running down the field and some dude just clotheslines you like fucking Chico Santana coming off the ropes.
Except 300 pounds, right?
Right, with armor on.
Yeah.
And you're running at full speed.
Right. Your head's gonna be a mush. But you can't compare the guys in the '80s to now. They're fucking slow compared to the guys now. The guys now, and the same thing. Hockey's the same thing.
Yeah.
Hockey was a brutal sport, But now guys they don't play that physical game anymore. But now the guys now would skate around everybody from 20 years ago.
And it's funny because you had the like the Devils of the '90s, right? The trap and this and slow the game down and win it.
Trap is illegal now.
Yeah. And whereas now they're finding that this is why they talk about the space and changing the creases and all this, because now guys are so much bigger and stronger and faster that it's almost like you're confining them in too little ice space,
Yeah. I really can't stand. I can't stand when they do that. You notice how I'm getting used to doing this again because of the fucking other mic, where I don't even have to do this on that anymore. I really can't stand when they implement rules to outlaw like creative things that help you win. Like the trap might be boring. Okay, the trap is boring, but what the trap is designed to do is take a lesser team and let them be able to compete. So there's nothing wrong with that. Now the problem is that
I always thought that was one of the things that was beautiful about hockey.
Right. So the problem is just like with what Moneyball, the reason why everybody's great now, well, you have all these great baseball teams now, is because they took the Moneyball concept. Only teams with money started doing the Moneyball concept. So they had the money and they would pay pay premiums for the same skills that these smaller market teams were looking for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the same way, now you have this system that's made for weaker teams to be able to compete against better teams, and you're finding the best players possible that would fit into that kind of system. So it's just suffocating. Like the trap with the Devils in the '90s was suffocating because they had the best players playing that kind of system that elevates the game. A normal. But to me, that's the point. That's what coaching is about.
Yes. No, it has to be all about the players.
Like when Phil Jackson tried to implement the triangle, they never let him do it. So they all talk about how you can't play that game, but they never let him do it. The players didn't want to play it, so we don't know what would have happened if they actually started doing it.
Yeah.
I'm a big system guy, though. I believe that you can take lesser players and win a championship with lesser players if you play the game a certain way, whatever the game is.
It depends. It depends on the sport sometimes. It depends on the player sometimes.
Well,
in basketball, it's starting to be that one really good player, and then whatever like that. Especially with these players.
You know why that's not true? You know why that's not true?
What's that?
Because of Dirk.
Yes.
Dirk.
Yeah.
When the Mavericks beat the Heat, right? The Heat had three superstars, two of the top 5 players of the game, and Bosch, who was a top 10 player, right? And they had the Mavericks had Dirk Nowitzki. They had Tyson Chandler, who was a defensive player of the year that year, but he's not an offensive guy; doesn't score. And everyone else was either a role player or like Jason Kidd past his prime.
That was probably the last team like that, right? Because like back in the day, that's how every team was though. You had one superstar. If you were lucky, you had another like pretty good guy, and then almost everybody else was some kind of like look at the Knicks, right? They had Ewing. Who was the next best person? Starks, Oakley.
Yeah.
And look at Oakley. Oakley was a rebounder defender. He could maybe get you 10 points.
Okay. Yeah. But Jordan in those years had Pippen as 2 top 50 players.
Yeah.
Ewing didn't have another top 50
They were
player.
lucky, and they had two of those guys because Scottie Pippen could have been that number one for just about any other team.
And even that, what was it? Was it 92 or was it 93? Charles fucking Smith, where he missed like 6 layups under the fucking basket.
Yeah. Well,
we had the Bulls on the ropes. We had them on the ropes. We were up 2-0 and we crushed them 2 games. Yep. We had them on the ropes. And the Charles Smith, we would have that game too. And they
he had just jumped into a foul instead of pump faking 50 times.
Right. Horrible. So, we had it. And we should have won. John Starks going 1 for fucking 18 in Game 6.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We should have won. We just choked. At the end of the day, teams have to execute.
Yeah.
And if you execute, like as a coach, and I coached football for a long time, junior high school football, but we won 5 championships in a row.
Mm-hmm.
We went in the 7 years that I coached, we lost maybe 10 games.
Mm.
We went 3 years without losing a game.
Mm.
The playoffs, championships, everything, right?
Nice.
Now most of that is talent. But my teams that didn't execute, the teams that won executed. The teams that didn't win didn't execute. Yeah. And so, as a coach, you believe. Now, baseball is a little different because the manager can only do so much, whereas every other sport, you're coaching a particular system to make the game flow a certain way, right? Every other sport. As a coach, you have to believe that you can put your players in a position that they will win no matter who we play if they just execute.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, why are you doing it?
Yeah, because the odd thing about baseball is it's a huge team sport as far as like the camaraderie and these guys, and especially when they're traveling.
It's a completely individual game.
Exactly.
It is.
But everything that matters is an individual battle. Whether it's the guy trying to steal, the guy that's trying to hit the ball, the guy that's trying to pitch the ball, the fielder when the ball is hit.
Right. It's the pitcher.
There's double plays, but most
it's the pitcher against the hitter.
Yeah.
Then it's the hitter against the fielder. Yep. And then it's the fielder against the base runner.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it is always It is always now you have turning a double play. That's the very few, but there's not really. I mean, you back each other up, but you don't really get involved too much. Whereas basketball and hockey have assist as a stat.
Yeah, and outside of the double play, and maybe a couple of other scenarios, there's no teamwork happening. Like like basketball, you're passing the ball to each other. Hockey, to each other,
There is the there's the double play, there's the rundown, there's the relay, and then
even look at the relay. You're just in a spot. This guy throws it from point A to point B. That's it. That's his job. Once he throws that ball, it's kind of over. Yes,
he's done. Right, Right, and that's the thing. It is also the only game that once you're done, you're out of the play. The play's over for you.
For the most part, yeah.
Except for the rundown.
Yeah,
and the defense has the ball. So.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. That's so fucking crazy, it's the only game that's like that.
Yep.
Now, granted, you can coach up players. You can get them to buy into a. This is the style that we're going to put, like a batting lineup, right? If you don't have a lot of power hitters, all right, we're going to bunt people over. We're going to try and hit to a certain side of the field, and and whatever. But again, that coaching can only go so far.
You set a play, and it's you
set them up to succeed, and then it's up to them if it happens or not.
It's not
just that. Some other dude is trying to make him not succeed. On top of
a play in baseball is not the same as a play in basketball or
football or hockey.
Hockey is a little more towards it because you don't so much have plays in hockey. You have breakouts. You have the way that your offense flows.
But look at the power play.
But even then, it's still it's not a set play.
Right place and passing the puck back and forth and
all that is you have it. But there's no set plays in that. you're not saying, okay, let's do a dipsy do, and you're not doing that. It's not like fucking.
I don't know. NHL 95
it's not like,
disagrees. I can set my offensive plays and my defensive plays.
And now, but even then, you're still not. You're setting your team settings in that are how the guys move, how they flow to create something, an opportunity. And in that sense, baseball is the same, because you're either a small ball team where you're doing hit and runs and you're running a lot and you're trying to move the runners over and knock them in, or you're a home run team where you just load back and wait for the best pitch to hit over the fence. You have those different settings where your team has a certain team philosophy, right?
Yes.
Whereas in football and basketball, you have this team philosophy, but they have set plays where, okay, we're going to run this and everybody do this now. Okay, now we're going to do that, and everybody do that.
Basketball too.
Well, yeah. Well, the difference is that basketball, you don't have to play like that. The successful teams do.
Yeah.
And every successful team does that. Every team that's good. Look, Steve Kerr, the Warriors weren't the Warriors until Steve Kerr got there. It was the same guys that were on the team when Mark Jackson was coaching. Steve Kerr coached them better.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. Steve Kerr coached them better. So they ran that system.
There's more ebb and flow to basketball.
Right. The difference between the basketball plays and football plays is that basketball, the plays break down, and they're always going to break down to some degree. But when they break down, you can improvise and do something. In football, the more plays break down, you're in trouble.
Generally speaking, yes. Unless you have like Aaron Rodgers or
Michael Vick.
Yeah, Michael Vick, who can just run out of a situation. Guys like that. Yeah.
You have very few and far between. Is it that a team can improvise all the time and get away with it?
Sure.
It is the one where you're most. Or I wonder. What do you think is more? What do you think is better? What do you think? What do you think you need to execute more, football or baseball?
Football.
Like, everybody's got to do this job, though. All 11 dudes have to do their job. Or
everybody's got to pull, right? Because if you're pulling some kind of fucking counterplay, and your center needs to pull out because it looks like he's running to the right, and then your running back is running to the left. If your fucking center runs to the left and doesn't block a guy, your play is blown up in the backfield.
Done. You're dead. Right. If everybody's to do the job, you're fucked.
Right? If you have a timing route in football, right? The quarterback knows in fucking 3 seconds I'm throwing it to the 35-yard line.
Right, you throw it to a spot.
There, and you better turn around in enough time because that ball's going to be there.
Right. And if you don't, it could be going the other way.
Yep.
I also agree, because everything has to be done right. Everything has to be executed exactly right. Now, in baseball,
in the right sequence too.
And then the right sequence, because in baseball it's different, because, and I always thought that it was it's the sport that's most like real life, because there's so many things that you could do everything right and you still fail.
Mm-hmm.
You can do everything wrong and get lucky and shit works out.
Yeah.
And so there's so many little scenarios that happen in between, like even in between one play, okay, or one play to the next play, where everything changes on the fly. And it's also kind of like life, because like every individual has something that they do that affects society as a whole.
And that's true. And you have no idea how it's going to work out.
Yeah, and you
can fuck up; it could work out in somebody else's favor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can, and sometimes you only see it at 30,000 feet. You only see it oblique.
It's funny. It's funny that you say that, because about baseball, you know what I hate about being a pitcher? You know what I hate about pitching?
What's that?
There are some times when you make a perfect pitch and the guy hits it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's annoying, but that's not the part that bothers me. Like for me personally, if I make the perfect pitch and the guy hits it, he beat me. He's good. Yeah. I did what I was supposed to do, and he, like, what are you gonna do about it, right? But what pisses me off is when you threw the perfect pitch and he hit it anyway, and the fuckers on your team behind you don't understand that it was that was the right fucking thing.
Mm.
And they run their mouths. And it's like, dude, and you feel like telling them the only thing you know about pitching is you can't hit it.
Are you talking about Francis Lewis baseball right now?
I'm talking about. I'm talking about, but our softball team the same thing. Our softball team the same thing though. All of it, basically any ball team that you're on, any ball team that you're on. Like I have a thing when I'm playing the outfield, right? If you're on the infield, don't talk to me. Don't tell me where to play. Go away. You don't know shit. You're on the infield. Shut your mouth. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know shit. You don't know how the ball's flying. You don't know how they're hitting it. You don't know what we're dealing with out here. Go away.
I'm not telling you to get back closer to second base.
Exactly. I'm not telling you to get the cock out of your mouth. Don't fuck with me when I work.
Fucking second baseman and their cocks in their mouths.
So, like, let the shortstop worry about the infield. Because guess what? I'm standing out here in the outfield and there's a hole I could drive a truck through. So worry about yourself. But I hate that kind of thing.
When you can slap high five to your fucking buddies in the infield and I'm out here fucking watching tumbleweed go by. Yeah.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here. Right. But not like Walt, right? I pitch softball, but it's fast pitch softball, so it's not like Momo. You have to actually have pitches, curves, shit like that. You have to actually throw the ball. Walt and I, it's funny because I was Walt's catcher in high school, and in softball, Walt was my catcher. Weird, but
synergy,
yeah. Like I didn't have to tell him. Well, that's a weird thing. That's my. Does somebody have feedback?
No, I think it was just the feed getting a little funky.
Yeah, it was weird. It's happening again. It's fucked up. As I was saying, I didn't have to think. It's on yours, Thaddeus. There's a feedback loop on yours.
Really?
Yeah. Because when I talk, your bar is going up. That was weird.
Why did that start all of a sudden?
I don't know. It was just all of a sudden. It's weird. Anyway, it's happening again. Something just got fucked up.
Yeah, I don't see anything on. I was watching the bars that time. Nothing there.
Yeah, I don't know. It's unusual. Anyway, I never had to have a confusion with Walt with what pitch I was going to throw or when I was going to throw it. It was weird because we were always on the same page. We always knew exactly. It was the same. We knew what pitch to throw. Like if Walt told me to throw something, it was like I didn't have to tell him no because it was the exact pitch that I was going to throw.
Yeah, so true.
It's a rare thing, but it's nice. I never had to worry about that with my catcher, and it's the most important person to have that with.
Yeah.
But then the other part that's good about it is that when the dudes do start talking shit, because no matter how many errors dudes make behind you, you walk a guy, they're gonna fucking run their mouth. Right? You know what I mean? You miss a pitch and they're gonna run their mouth. You give up the hit, they're gonna run their mouth. Even though fucker, if you would have filled that routine ground ball, we'd be out of the inning. They never remember that. But it does help for your sanity when your catcher knows, we as the battery, we did it right. These guys are assholes.
Yeah,
it helps.
So true.
Absolutely. And see that's where the camaraderie and the teamwork comes into play in baseball. The relationships, the trust, the whatever, especially between the pitcher and the whatever. And then also too, the coaching and the philosophy and the whatever. Like, all right, like let's say for example the shift, right? That's more.
I hope they don't take it out.
Yes, I agree because again, it's a strategy thing. It's not a
right.
Like when they move the mound, right? That was a thing where it's like, all right, pitchers are too close or they're too far, or there's too many home runs, there's too little home runs, whatever the case may be. Like there's an overall trending thing. Look, if you have a guy that cannot fucking hit a certain direction, then that is his downfall.
Yeah.
And if you can exploit that should be exploited.
Yeah.
Hit better.
Exactly.
Be a better hitter because you couldn't do that to Rod Carew. You couldn't do it to Wade Boggs. You couldn't do it to Tony Gwynn. They would murder you.
Look, like even go to David Ortiz. David Ortiz laid down a few bunts here and there to fucking try and keep them a little honest.
And let me add something. Ted Williams hit 406. People shifted on him, and he did it anyway, and he pulled the ball anyway.
Well, I mean, that's because, you can't defend it over your head.
That's true.
and going back to one of Walt's things before, when he was saying, you could do the right thing and you make the right pitch, and it could go to shit and whatever. Like look at it from just, let's say, the hitter's perspective from here, right? You can guess fastball. You can know that he's throwing it like low and outside, whatever. You can guess it right. You can swing. You can hit it. You can smash that ball. If it's fucking right at somebody and they catch it,
Oh yeah, but that always evens out though. It's always the way though.
Absolutely. But it's the microcosm of fucking baseball.
Yeah.
Then there's a time when you can fucking think fastball's coming. It's fucking perfect. You know it. It's a fucking 3-0 count. He's gonna groove one or whatever. And you're out in front and he threw a curveball, but because you were able to fucking flail your bat and look terrible, you popped it up over the fucking first baseman's head who was playing in a little bit for some reason, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, look at that blue pit. That was amazing.
Yeah, I don't know how many times in life I've won on a blue pit.
Yeah,
what I mean. In life in general, I don't know how many times I've won on a blue pit. But it's true though. Like how many times you could do everything perfectly. You go for a job and you do everything perfectly, and you're the perfect candidate. And they don't give it to you for someone else for God knows what other reason, and you couldn't have done anything better. You're like, what the fuck? What just happened? But then another time when I don't know, you're a Momo. But you don't really know what much of that position, but they're desperate for somebody, so they give you the job, and you end up doing well in it.
Yes,
right.
Shit like that happens all the time.
Like when they try to put Piazza at first.
Well, maybe some things are a little more obvious than others.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like dude's a Hall of Famer. He can rake the ball. He was and he got shitted on as a catcher, but as a catcher, he was good. He just couldn't fucking throw to second base to save his life.
But the problem is always that he wasn't good because he couldn't throw to second base to save his life.
Yes.
Because anybody gets on base, it's a double. And that's a problem.
More or less. I mean, sometimes you have to, it goes to a little bit about the pitcher. How do they hold them on? How do they throw? Do they have a big leg kick? Bullshit like that.
He automatically raises the slugging against.
Yeah, sure. But he also fucking belted how many home runs?
I mean, granted, he's probably the greatest hitting catcher of all time. It's true. Yeah. He's probably the greatest hitting catcher of all time. Maybe better than Johnny Bench.
I'll give up a fucking double to that dude because he's going to crush a 3-run home run off you next.
Well, no, but it depends on how many. Because if he keeps putting runners in scoring position, especially when they're double stealing on you and shit like that. Like when the Yankees played the Mets in the World Series, it was not good for them. That was one of the things they did a lot.
And again, and so let's say that starts becoming a problem, right? Catchers inherently, for whatever reason, aren't throwing to second base as much. Are we going to tell people that they can't steal as many bases?
Well, they basically don't anymore anyway.
You're exploiting a weakness. You can't steal bases on them. Yeah. It's not fair. They can't throw to second base.
I don't think that stealing is actually all that effective of a play. But I do
it because of the home run.
Unless you're Ricky Henderson.
Right. I mean, it's an inefficient play. It's giving up the base is an inefficient play. If you are, if you get thrown out. Yeah. And too many people get thrown out too often. However, the hit and run, I think there's utility in the hit and run when you have weak hitters up, and you know what I mean.
Sure, but here too, weak hitters nowadays versus weak hitters back in the day.
Yeah, I mean the weakest hitters still hit 15 home runs.
They can fucking pop it up.
Yeah, guys still hit 15 home runs even they suck now. So,
plus the fences are drawn in. That's another factor.
Sure. And that also goes into a fact. Like you look at somebody like Rafael Palmeiro, right? Dude's got a ton of fucking home runs. He's high up on the fucking home run list. He was a good ball player. Don't get me wrong, but you never felt like Rafael Palmeiro was the best first baseman.
Well, that's tough though. That's tough because he's in an era with a lot of good first basemen now, especially slugging first basemen.
Sure,
and most of the time.
If you don't stand out in your own generation, how can you stand out? In the
I wouldn't want him up in a big spot.
Yeah. Sure,
he's a professional hitter.
And when when he was in the American League, he was actually a DH most of the season.
Yeah,
it's true.
Every now and then he would be at first.
Yeah. Paul Palmeiro was a good ball player.
Yeah, he was a tough out.
Yeah, and again, but I'm not saying he's not, but I'm never going to throw him in the conversation of Mount Rushmore of baseball either.
No, but
yeah, that's for the elites,
Yeah.
Well, look, all I could say about baseball, which is different, which is again different from these other games, is that except for Jeter, right, and Mo, you wouldn't throw anybody in those late '90s teams in the Mount Rushmore of baseball, and they dominated everyone. And even Jeter at the time, and Jeter's a compiler. Jeter's he's voted the most overrated player in the game by the players years consecutively for a reason.
Yeah.
Because numbers-wise, statistics-wise, he's a compiler. He struck out way too much for a shortstop that didn't hit a lot of home runs.
Yeah.
He didn't steal bases for a guy who was supposedly like a speed guy.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that puts him above everyone else, what makes him a Hall of Famer, was that he was always in the right play at the right time and made some ridiculously smart play. That was like, how the fuck did that happen? Where the fuck did this guy come from and do that?
Like if Jeremy Giambi did his fucking job and slid, that doesn't
now that's part of it too. But who makes that play? And he was always doing that.
Who's in that position to back up that play? He's
right.
He's probably one of the last of the guard of the really fundamentally sound leader baseball player. Not the best. Not the best at whatever. But
he was an average defender. He was an average defender his whole career. He wasn't a great defender. He was an average defender his whole career.
He's amazing.
He was an average hitter, really. I mean, he was not a lot of power,
and especially
not a high on base.
Especially when the two other big shortstops for the time both were offensively juggernauts.
Yeah.
And it's not like he was light years ahead of them defensively either.
Walt, what were you saying?
Yeah, I was just going to say, how we were talking about how Piazza was, was so great in back in the day, the 90s, 2000, the Subway Series and the whole thing. It was Jeter who was the MVP of that Subway Series.
Sure.
Because he did the right thing at the right time and shined when it mattered,
Right, but everybody on those teams did that. Everyone, like Darryl, was huge for us in those years.
Yeah.
Oh, he was. Yeah.
Another guy I'm going to bring up and had one of the biggest hits in that series. Look at fucking Luis Sojo.
Yeah, Sojo was big.
Right,
and here's a guy that was a pedestrian player.
Yeah. But that's why.
Even Jose Vizcaíno went 4 for 5 in Game 1.
Yeah.
With the game.
Those 90s teams that won those World Series had Chuck Knobloch playing second base, hitting 250 with no power, and he couldn't throw from fucking second base.
Yeah.
And he was playing second, and he was on those teams. But when you watch the games all the time, every single time, that dude had his numbers were garbage. He couldn't throw from second base. But every single time some crazy great rally happened, he was right in the middle every single time.
And you know what? He was also one of those dudes that would fucking run through a wall.
Yeah.
Like the grit.
What were we saying?
The whatever,
No, what
were we saying?
I was just saying that Knobloch was pesky. He was
man.
He was at the right time. He was annoying. He was annoying for the other team. The
thing with Palmeiro, he didn't have to be an end all be all. He was a tough out. I'll tell you this. Maybe not defensively. But if you had Rafael Palmeiro at every position on the field, you're going to win a World Series.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not talking defensively, but offensively, if he was every spot in your lineup, you win the World Series because nobody's stopping. You're going to score a lot of runs.
Yeah,
you can say the same thing about Frank Thomas.
Sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. And to me, I always thought about this because when you're playing, I was always a good ball player. Guys talk shit though. So, but I was always a good ball player, and I could play multiple positions. I could play a lot of positions well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what I always thought, my line of thinking always with any league that you're in, if you're in, regardless of what it is, if you put 9 of me on the field, would we win? And if the answer is yes, then you're a good player in that league.
No doubt. Yeah.
And what I know about myself is that if you put me on every position, and I'm talking defensively too, in the leagues that I've played in, if you put me in that, at every position on the field, we would crush people, and that means I'm a good ball player in that league. Now I can't do that in the major leagues. That's why I would be a shitty major league. That's why I'm not there. That's why we're talking about them, and you aren't talking about me.
And see that's where baseball also, the intriguing thing is how you build your team, right? Because one of the things we talked about recently, but one of the things about those Yankee teams that were so great was, there was the big name players that had the big numbers and the whatever, but they won because of the Scott Brosiuses, the Luis Sohos, the
Brosius was evil.
bench.
He was evil enough, Scott. Yeah.
Because when everybody else was like, "Oh God, it's a 3-3 game in
Graham Lloyd,
10th inning, and all we have is our backup catcher and a bunch of pitchers," they were like, "Yeah, no problem. We got a guy that's fucking hit 300 for his whole career.
That
now he can't play every day, but right now he's gonna.
You know what I think?
Fucking big.
You know what I think as a fan? Are you guys hearing me? Is the thing coming through?
Perfectly.
You're fine.
You know what I think about as a fan? I think that the best feeling ever as a fan that you could possibly have as a fan. Now, I was at the stadium in '99 when they beat the Braves, and that was awesome, right? But the best feeling that you have as a fan in those years, especially '98, but in those '90s years, right? When it was 3-3 in the 10th, we didn't worry because we knew that we were going to win.
Yeah.
We knew we were going to win, and we did.
It's only a matter of time.
And see, that's where something like basketball series, there's upsets and stuff like that, but similar to how like the Yankees built their team, is how like some of these basketball teams are built.
That's the way I see Golden State, because other than KD, everyone that they have there, they either drafted or they made a good trade for, or they brought them in when they were on the scrap heap and then and rebuilt them into their system. That's like everybody talks about how the Yankees buy championships. The Yankees have never bought a championship. They never have. It's never happened. Every single time they went out and bought all the expensive free agents, they lost. When they won, it was trades, like all these trades, when they traded for Tino Martinez, when they traded for Paul O'Neill, when they they were all like, really? You traded this guy for that guy? And the guy that they brought in is the guy who was actually, you wound up loving him later on. When they signed Scott Brosius, we were like, really? Fucking Scott Brosius? Okay, but who's going to start?
Yeah.
Right.
And like, so fucking...
And the homegrown talent.
Well, and that's the thing. They had where the buy the championship thing comes in is because they had the highest payroll. But again, it wasn't because they were just going out and getting, they
were keeping their own players.
Yeah, they were keeping their great players,
right.
And they were filling out their bench. You guys always had a quality bullpen. You guys always had a quality bench.
Is it my fault you don't want to pay to keep David Cohn?
Mm-hmm.
Right. No.
Yeah.
But we're going to pay to keep David Cohn because he's great.
Yeah.
And David Cohn's another guy. David Cohn's not a Mount Rushmore all-time great.
No.
But he was the leader of one of the greatest teams in history. I mean, the greatest baseball team in history. He's the leader of that pitching staff.
And he was awesome when it counted.
Yeah. And that's where baseball, I think, again, like I said, the team element comes into play.
More than any other sport.
The belief, the leadership.
Well, hockey has that too. I mean, it's not really fair to say. I mean, basketball probably has the least of that because you only need two superstars to win. But I guess
it's like in basketball, more often than not, the talent is going to win. Now, granted, you could have talent that doesn't play well together. Like look at when Dirk beat Miami. But generally speaking, you look at all the playoff series across all of the NBA playoffs or whatever. The majority of times, it's the more talented team, especially in these 7-game series.
Yeah, it's
going to win out.
It's tough to beat talent in any of the other sports. In baseball, you have a better chance because you don't know how the ball's going to bounce. It's just a matter of if the opportunistic team is the one that wins. So it's odd like that. Plus, I've never experienced a locker room with a team that's together like I have in baseball. Like it's a different feel when a team is together on a baseball team. And I guess part of that is because your season's so much longer and you're more like roommates than you are fucking, you know what I mean? It's a weird thing. It's more like being sharing college dorms with people than it is like.
And ultimately too, like the grassroots of it too, right? Growing up through the minor leagues as a baseball player, you're on together. You're like it's so much more together.
It's more organic than the team growing part is more organic than other ones where you just every year football they cut guys every year the team you have fucking 15 guys that are different. It's weird. Anyway, it's 11:45 and we've been on for over an hour and a half.
Yeah,
so
we could probably go on for another 3 hours just BSing like this.
See, that's the problem.
At some point,
I've noticed that's where we got to stay off of sports somewhat, especially baseball, because the three of us can go on for days about it.
Yeah. I mean, we can do it. We can broach the subjects when we want to, but we just got, we need
it's got to be cut off.
Watch that clock.
Right. Anyway, so listen to us on SoundCloud and YouTube, Man TMC The Garage. Check my books out on Amazon. Mandos Presents. There's good entertainment there for you just, not think about all the bullshit you have to deal with all day. Gentlemen, any last words?
Fuck Palmero.
Well,
lay off the Viagra, Palmero.
Well, there it is. Good night, folks.